joining us on our November session on an afternoon with Alia. Thank you for being here this afternoon here with us on our Facebook Live. Alia, your camera. Thank you. Hi, thank you for joining us this afternoon. For those of you who are live here with us, as usual, we do have some slides prepared for you. If you are interested to get a copy of the slides, fill in the form and then Alia will arrange to have them send it over to you. I currently shared on the live chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask us as well on the live chat. For those of you who are actually very familiar with us, welcome and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Today, Alia has prepared a very interesting topic. We're going to talk about balancing and coordination. So, Alia, let's introduce what is balancing and coordination to everyone.
Okay, so today we talk about balance and coordination. But before I start, previously I'm already shared about sensory, about fine motor, and now we go to the gross motor things. But in balance and coordination, it include fine motor, gross motor, and also sensory. Because balance required sensory before they can perform a good balance of body control. So what is the mean of balance? Balance is to maintain control the body position during task performance. Contohnya, kita nak duduk, kita perlukan balance. Kita nak berdiri pun kita perlukan balance. Any task that we do in our life, actually we require the balance. So balance actually is divided into two types, which is static and also dynamic. So for static part is how the person to control or to manage the balance during their during apa ni, dia membuat sesuatu aktiviti. But for static part, there is no movement. So basically macam the define yang sepatutnya, define yang diberi daripada kita daripada apa ni, researcher ataupun kita punya maksud yang sebenarnya adalah ability to maintain postural stability and orientation with center of mass over the base of support and body at rest. So untuk apa ni, mudahkan, maksud dia adalah static balance ni bila kita berdiri tegak, kita boleh control tak kita punya balance. That's the mean of static balance.
So when we are sitting down, not doing anything,
not
is
doing
static.
anything.
But if I'm sitting down and tying shoelace,
that's mean another one types of balance, which is
the
dynamic balance. So contoh untuk static balance macam kita play a freeze game kan, ataupun we just be a statue, so kita just berdiri atau just duduk in one position without doing any movement.
So if I stand on one leg but I'm not doing anything, is considered static?
If stand with one leg, okay, so we stand with one leg without doing any movement, it's called as static balance.
So if I stand,
because we have a lot of balance type, macam contohnya one leg standing, sitting, two legs standing. So we use a lot of our limbs and core muscle to maintain the body posture and balance. Okay. So for dynamic balance is the ability to transfer the vertical projection of center of gravity around the supporting base of support, which is any position yang kita buat dan kita ada pergerakan. Contohnya masa kita duduk, kita menunduk untuk ambil barang, kita standing untuk reach object upstairs yang dekat atas, ataupun kita reaching forward the objects. That's mean a dynamic balance.
So for example, let's say we do hopscotch.
Yep.
Then hopscotch, we stand on one leg, we hop, and then we bend down and pick up something. So that is considered as dynamic.
Yup, there is a dynamic. Dynamic yang biasa kita buat dalam rutin harian. Contohnya, rutin harian yang kita biasa buat, pakai kasut berdiri atau pakai seluar secara berdiri. That's the mean of dynamic balance lah.
Okay, cool. So that's balance. What about coordination then?
Okay, coordination is to make a possible to synchronize the muscle function in a certain action. Maksud yang lebih mudah, bila kita nak buat sesuatu aktiviti, dia ada pergerakan yang synchronize. Contoh, kita nak cutting a straight line. So contoh, this is a paper. Then, oh sorry, can't see. I
Yeah, because of the
close
background.
the apa ni? Background. Yes. No filter. How to do no filter?
Remove virtual background, go to your video. Go to your video, and then you have to, yeah, either choose video filter, remove filter, or choose virtual background, remove background. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Okay.
Alright. So for tadi coordination, contohnya kita nak cutting a paper, so we need to hold the paper like this to balance. This is called as a balance. Balance the paper. Then use the scissors to move in the straight line is a coordination. So it include eye-hand coordination actually. So sebenarnya pergerakan tersebut menggunakan banyak.
So first thing, one hand need to balance the paper, then the other hand need to coordinate to move the scissors on the paper and along the paper that we want to cut.
But in the same time, kita use two hand is called as a bilateral hand activities.
Okay, so if
So
we use two
basically,
hand, it's bilateral. Okay.
yes.
Okay. All right.
So-
All your technical terms coming up. Okay. Please
Actually,
continue.
biasanya akan include our limbs, which is upper parts and lower parts. It's divided into two group. One is a bilateral coordination and another one is eye-hand coordination.
So bilateral, just now you say is two hands.
Yeah,
Got two legs on it.
Oh no, bilateral is using both of the limbs.
Oh.
Contohnya kita akan menggunakan tangan dan kaki, that's also called as a bilateral. Atau kita gunakan kedua-dua tangan, it's also called as a bilateral.
Also the one that usually telematch, we'll put that balloon in between our legs and then we hop. So
Yeah,
when we squeeze the balloon in between our legs, it's also called bilateral.
yeah, it also called as a bilateral. So that
Ah,
for
okay.
bilateral coordination is usually we see the coordination between the upper parts and the lower parts of our limbs lah. So it's called as a bilateral coordination. Contohnya kita jumping, skipping, using fork and knife, tying shoelace, all the activity using a bilateral because kita perlukan guna dua tangan. For eye-hand coordination is the ability to use eye to guide our hand to perform a movement. Contohnya kita throw and catch ball. Kita perlukan mata untuk fokus pada pergerakan bola dan kita perlukan ketangkasan tangan untuk catch the ball. That's the mean of eye-hand coordination.
Yeah, I sure feel like I cannot play ball.
Yeah. Other than that, also yang kita menggunakan eye-hand coordination adalah eating. Contohnya kita makan guna tangan. Biasanya kita jumpa orang Malaysia kan makan guna tangan. Pergerakan tangan tu untuk bawa nasi daripada pinggan ke mulut menggunakan mata punya coordination. So it require eye hand coordination movement.
So for young children who are learning how to feed themselves, so they are actually practicing eye-hand coordination.
Correct. They're using the eye and hand coordination.
So that's why for babies, they start with hands. After that, then only they introduce utensils, right?
Yes, it's correct.
Uh-huh.
So basically, balance and coordination, it's developed starting from the babies until we going up lah. So from the baby, we start with the lifting the head to control the balance of the head, to turning, including to scoot across the floor. Tapi kalau dari segi kalau meningkat usia yang baru, which is toddler age atau toddler range, maybe they start to develop how to crawl, how to jump, how to walk and all lah. So bila kita meningkat dewasa lagi, the complexity of balance and coordination makin banyak lah. Sebabnya daripada kecil kita dah develop certain things for balance and coordination. So bila kita meningkat dewasa, it become more complex for us.
So that will mean that from baby, from the way they learn how to turn, the way they learn how to crawl, to stand up, to walking, they are kind of like building the foundation so that as they grow
Correct.
up, they can do more complex balancing tasks.
Like I can give one example, like babies, they try to turn their body. That's mean how they control the head balance. Then after that, they grown up to be able for sit by himself or herself, by themselves lah. So when they want to sit, they need to trunk control balance. So it's developed from head control to the trunk control, and when they try to stand, they try to develop leg control balance.
Okay,
So
so it's from top down.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So daripada bila budak dah ada balance, they will be develop the coordination part.
Right. So how will does it? Okay, I think that's also another reason why child doctor or when parents send their children for their regular immunization or checkup, doctors usually check on the developmental milestones as well, right? Because if child cannot turn, eye cannot follow movement and whatnot, it will kind of like create a red flag for parents as well that something is missing, right? Because this will then affect their later on, not just their growth, but also when you talk about them balancing, because to walk definitely need balancing. To run, to cycle, to catch balls.
Activity is the complex activity actually, because they need a lot of sensory, they need a lot of balance, coordination, and the functional of their body parts, because that's the reason why some of the child have difficulty to perform a task if the baseline is not strong enough. Like the previous session yang I pernah explain about the pyramid of learning, because of the base is not strong enough, so the upper parts of the pyramid is cannot build so good as they go now.
I see. So how do I know that a child may have balancing problem or coordination problem?
Okay, so to know how a child have difficulty with balance and coordination, normally we can see a child have difficulty to walk properly. They tend to fall easily or trip often, and sometimes we can see they tend to avoid physical activities, maybe because of they cannot to perform the task. Contohnya kat sekolah kita ada activities lompat jauh. Some of the child may be difficult to perform jumping because of they have fears or have problem with the balance and coordination to control the body and muscle function. Mm.
But sometimes it's like, okay lah, lompat jauh cannot lompat, then no, don't lompat lah. What is like, what could be the consequence?
Oh, the consequence maybe will cause the child have poor social skill with the student with their peers lah, because when they can't do the task, they try to avoid. Then when they try to avoid, they tend to be alone. So it will cause the social participation, poor social participation, and also become a faithful with the some of the activities. So it
So
will cause.
so generally, if child cannot walk properly, constantly fall down, we call them the clumsy child, or I don't know, bang into things. Is it also because of balance and coordination?
It could be because of the balance, because biasanya kita akan tengok dari segi physical dia, physical features, how the child perform their walking. It could be because of the sensory, it could be because of the muscle tightness, or it could be because of the balance problem. When it's come into a balance issue, it may contribute with the sensory part like auditory, also tactile, also proprioception. So
So
dia
they
akan
might actually
itu,
have other things to
yes.
look at lah. So it is not just about balance. It could be
Yep,
also your
correct.
sensory profiling that is, like you said, the base, the foundation of the pyramid
And one
is
is
the
the,
one that cause the problem.
yes. Because kalau daripada yang pyramid of learning high itu, the foundation is the sensory part, then upper part is we have a motor development and all the cognitive function. So from that one, when the foundation part have problem, like mungkin budak tu dia boleh berjalan tapi tend to fall down, mungkin disebabkan dia tak rasa. So bila dia tak rasa dia punya texture of the surface, so it could be cause the child have problem with the sensory motor development semualah.
Okay.
Other
So
than
what if
Mhm.
uh, children who, okay, so when we talk about balancing and coordination, so because I know in OT you always talk about sometimes about seeking behavior and avoiding behavior. So can I also say if let's say a child is avoiding certain physical tasks, it could also because they find it difficult with balance and coordination.
It could be because of they unable to perform the task, so the task become a difficult for them. Like us, contohnya kita tak boleh nak perform menulis. Contohlah, we can't perform proper writing, so we try to avoid to do writing. Then we try to do something else like drawing or art things or playing a game. So same goes like this one, when they can't perform running or they can't to perform physical activities like jumping ke apa, nanti dia punya social participation and also it akan affect dia punya emotional. So that's the reason why the child try to run or avoid from the activities.
How about children who cannot sit still? Is it because of balancing?
If a children have problem with the sit still, it could be because of other area. It's not only because of the balance, but sometimes kita boleh tengok budak tu mungkin ada masalah dari segi balance lah. Tapi biasanya balance dia akan berkait dengan sensory. Sensory part yang mana dia akan berkait adalah dari segi tactile dan juga vestibular. That's why the child ada problem untuk sustain the attention span and concentration during the class because they difficult to sit still. So that's the reason why the important of this apa ni, kita check from the foundation part.
Right, right. So a lot of children who cannot sit still in class, so highly likely that it could be actually their tactile or vestibular, maybe underdeveloped. Do you use that term, underdeveloped?
Maybe under.
underdeveloped, that is like, you
Yeah,
know, not there yet.
maybe it could be because of that, and it could be because of the hypersensitive or try to seeking the correct stimulation for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Other than that, also they if they have a problem with balance and coordination, they also may have difficulty to perform standing tasks in daily routine, such as like we go bathing or try to wear a pants in standing position, or like some contohnya macam kanak-kanak perempuan nak pergi cooking ke, dia mungkin ada masalah untuk control their balance. So this kind of child, they tend to, if we can see lah, they tend to lying down on the floor or doing the task on their bellies, not much in sitting position and standing position.
What about children lying down on the bed and do stuff? Is it also could be because of balance?
It could be because of the balance, because one, if their tongue muscle is not strong enough, then it cause a poor balance. So dia sama macam sensory. Bila sensory input tu tak cukup, dia punya core muscle dia tu tak strength dan menyebabkan gangguan pada dia punya balance and coordination performance lah. So,
Okay, so we talk about balance and coordination, and we see that if children who has balance and coordination problem, it seems like there's quite a number of things that they cannot do.
yes.
But okay, other than daily living skills, like putting on your clothes, because let's say like if you ask me as a parent, maybe if my child can put on her pants by sitting down on the bed, maybe from parent perspective, it is still acceptable,
Yeah.
right?
Uh, Actually, from one side, it could be a good one because they can control their balance in sitting, especially if they sit on the bed, because duduk atas katil ni bukan satu surface yang rata. So untuk control dia punya balance duduk atas bed tu ada sangat menggunakan memerlukan balance yang sangat baik. Sebab kalau kita duduk atas tempat yang rata, baru kita boleh tahu, oh okay, ini tak ada stabil saja. But it's different when we try to sit on unstable surface. It's quite difficult to control.
Interesting. So rather than working on my child putting on her pants standing up, I can actually put her on the bed.
Even it's more complex for a child yang difficult
Oh.
ataupun yang ada masalah dengan attention. Because bila contohnya, contohlah kita boleh tengok ada satu contoh, one student, he can sit on a chair, but the attention span and the concentration towards a task is quite difficult for him to perform because they can feel the stimuli. Contohnya kalau dia duduk atas gym ball, dia lebih fokus for one task lebih lama compared to sit on a chair. Kalau bila dia duduk atas kerusi, dia akan jadi macam tend to slide down in sitting, atau macam dia duduk macam orang malas punya duduk macam tu lah. Ataupun dia tend to lift up the leg ke macam tu. So bila dia duduk atas satu benda yang ada sensory macam bola gym ball ataupun bola yang ada tajam-tajam tu, so dia akan rasa dia punya stimulation tu, stimuli tu dia akan dapat, dan it help him to sit proper on the chair macam tu lah.
So are you suggesting if a child having problems sitting down for a long period of time, long period like what, 10 minutes? Are we looking at 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Or are you looking at 1 hour? What's your gauge?
Normally we depends on how the child punya attention, but kalau macam budak tu baru usia dalam 4, 5, 6 tahun macam tu, because bila dia masuk sekolah dia perlukan attention yang lebih lama, lebih daripada 1 hour. But for the toddler child macam 4-5 tahun macam tu, maybe up to 30 minutes is a long period for them lah. But it's okay for if the parents want to try more longer times for them. So, cumanya daripada segi sitting, untuk build the child to have a good sitting, they need strength, muscle and also good balance to perform the
Right,
task.
right. So by using that, let's say gym ball, is it a long-term solution, or in a sense that you will introduce gym ball, then slowly transition into a permanent chair? Is that what we are looking for?
Basically, what I'm suggesting is to do a transition. We start with the ball, then we transition with the something yang lebih keras sedikit before we start with the chair yang memang dia punya surface tu keras untuk duduk lah. So dia akan
So
jadi
like those foam, nowadays got a lot of those
gitu.
memory foam chair and all that. So go for that kind before going into a permanent hard chair.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So what is actually what are the necessary building blocks that to make sure that our children will be able to develop that balancing and coordination?
So for balancing, basically dia ada berkait dengan kita punya auditory. To maintain a balance, we need to have a good auditory auditory sensory, which is yang dia berkait dengan uh, vestibular punya apa ni, path yang ada dekat telinga kita. So to control the vestibular part, we still require a good brain function before it transmit the input. So from that part, it helps from the sensory in auditory, vestibular and also proprioception, and it including with the tactile. So dia ada 4 sensory area yang diperlukan untuk control dia punya balance and coordination. So, tapi kalau dari segi coordination, dia lebih kepada performing same side or opposite side punya movement. Is depend on how the child to how the child brain function with the apa ni, with the coordination movement. Because we need the
So what? Let's say when children do the dot to dot, is that what you're talking about? Connect one dot to another dot.
one dot.
Is that about coordination?
Basically it's more on like coordination ni kita akan tengok dari segi, kita ada tengok dari segi 2 benda tadi, bilateral dengan eye hand coordination. Daripada 2 tu kita akan tengok dari segi performance of same side, which is tangan sahaja atau kaki sahaja, atau belah kanan, which is tangan dan kaki belah kanan atau belah kiri. So we check the movement with the same side, then after that we try to check with the opposite side. Normally the child have difficult to perform opposite side lah.
So like when we do there's this zigzag when we always
zigzag
like tap
ataupun
the
dancing movement. So basically like dancing is a complex task yang memerlukan banyak pergerakan, banyak sensory. So daripada situ kita boleh tackle dia punya coordination movement. If we want to tackle one side, like kita nak buat opposite side kan, so kita break down the task. So kita mungkin buat tangan dan kaki sebelah kanan sahaja for a day atau a week. Kita just practice one side. Macam itulah.
Okay, so against same side you introduce first for a week, then you introduce more, then only you will go into the opposite side.
Yes, correct. Kita perlukan coordination yang same side bila kita nak buat handwriting, bukan handwriting, bila kita nak buat pergerakan yang menggunakan tangan kanan macam reaching the object on the right side, so kita perlukan kaki kanan dan tangan kanan untuk ke depan untuk reach. Atau kita perlukan something like cutting activities, maybe we need one side macam tu lah. But the opposite side, kita ada banyak aktiviti yang kita akan gunakan, including walking, jumping, running, semua kita akan guna opposite side lah.
Okay, okay. So, what else should we pay attention to when we talk about, balancing and coordination? Like, the base, you talk about, the tactile, the vestibular, the auditory, that I assume that's the base.
That one is the base for balance and coordination, but we still have other blocks that we need, macam contohnya attention span, posture control, muscle endurance, muscle strength, semua tu kita perlukan untuk develop kita punya balance and coordination skill. So kalau untuk balance, kita memang perlukan high attention span and concentration, because contohlah kalau dia have poor balance, has poor attention span, contohnya they tend to jump from one activity to another activity, how we need to teach our child to perform standing with one leg, to do hopscotch, semua tu lah. So that's why the importance of the task, we require the sensory first, then we go to the upper level, which is like the punya cognitive function, dia punya body function, muscle function, semua.
Okay, so would you then say
Selain daripada itu,
sorry,
kita juga perlukan body awareness.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I'm not. So what is the first? You asking before this?
No, I
because
was thinking if the attention is something that we should address first.
For then I not get the information. Yeah, attention I need to address to child attention. We need a lot of the foundation in the sensory part. So that's the reason why I'm trying to introduce the sensory area first. Then after that, I try to introduce this part of the activity. So if some parents can rewatch the child have good sensory function and to causing me.
Sorry, suddenly went off.
Okay.
Okay, I kind of like lost you. Like we talk about attention.
We
Yeah.
talk about the attention. So before the child can develop a good balance and coordination, they need to have a foundation, like the pyramid of the learning. So the foundation is the sensory part. So have a good sensory will develop a good bilateral coordination, crossing midline and posture control, and also body awareness. Then after that, they can develop a good attention span and concentration. So from that, you can see a child can perform the task more complex. So kita try bagi kanak-kanak tu daripada dia babies, give a simple task, to then we getting to the complex tasks.
Okay, so just in case for those of you who are watching us live on Facebook, if you have any questions, feel free to type in the group chat. Sorry, the live chat. This is not Zoom meeting. Live chat, type in the live chat. We'll get Alia to definitely answer your
Yeah.
question. Yeah, so we talk about building blocks. Earlier on, you also talked about body awareness. So
Yep.
as in like, you know what, head, shoulders,
Body
knees, and toes.
awareness means a child recognize or aware with their body parts like eyes, nose, hand, fingers, and all the body parts. So when the child know they have a two eyes, they have a two hands, so they must know that our body have left and right side. So to control the balance, they need to apa ni seimbangkan kedua-dua belah kiri dan kanan lah. That's why dia perlu tahu ada kiri dan kanan body parts semua tu.
So you're telling me that as a parent, we should start teaching from young about left and right.
Yep,
Oh,
teaching left and right because normally kita akan tengok budak-budak ni they know that we have the eyes, but sometimes we can see that the child doesn't know that how many eyes that we have or what side of body parts yang kita ada. Actually kita ada like the preposition of the yang kita belajar dalam English, maybe kita ada up, low, up, down, in front, behind, left and right. All of the parts we need to know. That can help to improve the body awareness for a child.
okay. So when we talk about balancing and coordination, right? Skill number one, we want all our children to learn how to ride bicycle.
To ride bicycle.
Is it
No, the
absolutely
skill number
necessary?
one, normally parents want a child to have a good walking. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, we forgot.
Because without the walking, how the child can perform the other tasks like running semua kan. So parents akan assume a child bila usia dia 2 tahun 2 tahun ke atas should be dah boleh berjalan. How about the foundation? Have the parents see either the child have performed lifting the head ke, sit by themselves ke, ada tak parents check sama ada budak tu masa dia baby ada belajar turning, ada try to do crawling, because before the child can perform walking, they need the foundation of the reflex. So biasanya kan babies ni dia ada reflex daripada babies sampai 6 bulan macam tu. So after 6 bulan baru dia punya reflex tu akan hilang, kecuali macam reflex untuk protection ke itu dia akan develop sampai dewasa lah. Tapi untuk start walking dia perlukan baby to be able to lift the head and control the head. Lepas tu dah ada head, dia mesti boleh control dia punya tongue balance lah. Dah boleh control tongue balance, boleh control dia punya limbs, lower limbs balance and have a strong muscle to develop performance for walking task macam tu.
Okay, so
Let's stop. Sorry, you mute. Sorry, I can't hear your question because you mute.
okay, is it working now? Okay, it is working
Okay.
now. Okay, just now you shared quite a bit. So we talk about walking being important, running, hopping.
Yep.
In fact, riding a bike is like very further down the
Yeah.
the balancing and control.
Sure.
So, but when it comes to parents, right?
Yep.
The key part, because ultimately I think parents want the learning to happen. Right? So a child doesn't know how to ride bicycle is fine, correct?
Correct.
But the rest of the things like walking and running and standing, wearing pants, those are more towards, I think, what you call as a daily living activity.
Yep. Actually, to develop a good balance, the parents can start from early age to perform the activity that including the balance coordination. Contohnya, they try to perform balance on walking beams atau paling mudah ajak anak tu jalan dekat tepi apa tu tepi jalan tu yang ada
Yeah, yeah, the curb to
the
the,
curve tu
okay.
berjalan macam tu. Otherwise lebih mudah lagi try to climbing the stairs because dia nak climb the stairs atau dia nak turun tangga atau naik tangga pun perlukan balance dan coordination yang betul. Kalau tak possibility untuk dia jatuh tangga pun sangat tinggi sebab kalau dia awareness dia kurang, attention dia kurang, lepas tu dia punya sensory function pun tak develop enough. So dia punya balance untuk control bila nak turun tangga, especially turun tangga lah sebab turun tangga lebih bahaya daripada naik tangga. So dia akan jadi susah untuk budak tu perform the task. Selain daripada tu, kita juga boleh engage the child with some activity yang berkaitan dengan balance board. Like kita macam ada satu board tu dia untuk child to standing or sit on the board to balance in a midline lah. Ataupun mungkin juga kita boleh try activity using a gym ball. Sebab using a gym ball dia boleh control balance in sitting untuk maintain the body posture semualah. Selain daripada itu juga kita boleh encourage the child to perform jumping from early age. We do jumping, running and the simple tasks like step over an obstacles ke. So all of the activity help them to develop good balance and coordination movement.
So generally, we definitely encourage children to be a little bit more active lah. So
Yeah, more
let them
active and
out.
physical activities.
So send them out to playground and let them run everywhere and climb
Yes.
everywhere.
So
Okay,
for
you talk about eye-hand coordination too. So what are some of the activities that parents can do?
Oh, I forgot about the eye-hand coordination. The eye-hand coordination is important for a child to perform handwriting when they're grown up. So to develop eye-hand coordination, masa kecil kita boleh try perform lacing activity ataupun we can try something apa nama tu? Collage, yeah. I forget the names.
Okay. You mean
Collage activity
tear
because
paper
they need to tear the paper and take the paper to lekat atas kertas tu semua perlukan eye hand coordination. And also they can try using a sticker. You can draw like you draw a shape like macam bentuk petak. Lepas tu ask your child to put the sticker in the box or you can try put the sticker on a line.
Okay. So if to put inside the box,
It's
okay
more
lah.
on the visual perception and also for the eye tracking. Either they can know the box, where is the box. So because some of the child dia ada tendency untuk letak stiker tu luar daripada kotak. So it's not eye hand coordination that we need, the task ataupun visual perception yang kita perlukan lah. The complex task selepas kita buat aktiviti yang letak stiker dalam box, yang kalau kita letak stiker atas line adalah complex task. Sebab dia perlukan eye hand coordination and also visual perception towards the line.
So the easier one is draw a big box and just put a
Yeah.
sticker inside the
Yeah.
box. The difficult one is to put it on
Put
the
the
line.
sticker on the line.
So I will presume put on the dot is harder.
Sorry?
I said instead of putting on the line, put
Uh-huh.
on the dot.
Put on the dot. Also can any you can apa ni manipulate ataupun cuba ubahkan the activity becomes something fun with the child. Ni kalau untuk improve more ataupun lebihkan lagi activity eye hand coordination ni, kita boleh try gunakan coin to put in the piggy bank.
Ah,
Semua itu perlukan coordination yang good coordination skill lah.
right, right. So like you said, we should actually start working on this when children are young. I think
Yeah.
especially now, a lot of kids were being spoon-fed with gadgets.
Yes, so
So they
they have a
only,
difficulty to pick up the small things
yeah,
semua.
because they just play iPad and then all they do is point, point, point,
Point.
right? So for parents who have no idea what to do with your kids, other than just feeding them iPad, please also do all these kind of activities with your children. I think when we talk about coin box, also we talk about fine motor skill as well, because you
Correct.
need to pick
And the
up the coin
finger.
and actually put that. Of course, not for very young children who stuff everything in the mouth lah.
Yeah.
The older ones.
Or the one like 3 years old, actually they aware with the apa ni, the surroundings. Patutnya dari umur 2 tahun setengah atau 3 tahun kita dah boleh start develop the task. So banyakkan aktiviti yang perlukan apa ni, our children to feel, to see and to recognize what the texture semua tu lah.
Okay, okay, cool. We're going into the final 10 minutes of our live session. So for those of you who are here with us, if you have any questions, feel free to type in the live chat. We have Alia here to actually answer all your questions. We're talking about balancing and coordination. Something that looks simple,
Yep.
but it's, to
But it's
Alia,
quite
it's actually complex. Okay, it's not easy. Some of the things we take for granted, for
Yes.
example, like I said, talk about bicycle, but riding a bike is like so further down the line when we talk about balancing and coordination. Okay, so let's talk about because we generally feel that balancing and coordination, children need a lot of physical activity.
Yeah.
And I know, I think even during the first session, you always encourage, walk the stairs. It helps so much with our children. Is there like a time limit, like, we should not be, whole day get our child to walk up and down the staircase kind of thing? Like
It-
what would be a recommended duration for parents to,
Okay,
kind of like,
to perform the task, actually, at least we can do once a day, at least the minimum one.
so
But
like what? One can go up, one can come down.
yeah, this one at
Oh,
least
that's
one
enough.
time, and so the child know how to perform, but not too much ataupun macam jangan terlalu macam kalau nak suruh anak tu turun naik tangga 100 kali tu janganlah sampai macam tu. So at least you know the limit, like maybe 10 time or maybe 15 times is it enough. Like we normally do the apa ni exercise kan, kita ada limit kita paling-paling pun satu set 30 kali ke, it's like that same. So we just grading from apa ni jumlah yang sedikit kepada jumlah yang lebih banyak. Maybe the first time we try 2 times and the second time first week we try 2 times, then second week maybe we can try up a little bit like 5 times per day, and we grading it until our child can perform the task perfectly or nicely compared like macam the previous one lah.
So does it mean that with practice, actually most of the balance and coordination problem can be
Yes.
resolved?
Yes. So we need a practice like ada apa ni, like a quotes yang katakan practice makes perfect. So we do a practice of every day, at least for the child yang especially for special need child, they need every day of the routines. So at least one day, one physical activity, one fun activities like that is fine for them. As long you expose your child with the activity rather than you expose your child with the tablets yang akan kurangkan atau make their fine motor skill or gross motor skill become deteriorate lah macam tu. So
Yeah, and I also want to, I mean, since we talk about that, I think it is very important to
yep.
spend time wisely with the children, especially with busy parents and then with
Hmm.
all that is ongoing. If
Yeah.
you find it like, you have no idea what to do with your child, it's like, all you know is, read book or, gadget, because they
Oh,
have no idea what to do. I think all these are pretty simple activity, walking
yeah.
up
It's
and
a
down with the
simple ones
do
actually.
some art and craft, take some old magazine, old newspaper, just tear them up,
Hmm.
do collage. I think these are pretty simple. It's not about, whether it's a very pretty piece of artwork.
Correct.
It,
It's
it's
not about a pretty and perfect artwork. It's actually as long as they can perform, it's good enough for your child. Because normally yang kita akan tengok nanti bila dia dah besar dia akan ada isu dengan attention, dia akan ada isu dengan dia punya muscle strength atau dia punya dari segi cognitive function to solve a problem. So from that we try to train from a younger one, so it will help the child to perform more functional tasks in future macam tu.
okay. And all this, like you say lah, practice makes
Yes.
perfect. So when they're younger, don't like get them to sit down there for 1 whole hour, do work. Younger probably break into various time period like 10 minutes just to sit down and work on one part and then gradually increase lah. Like how Alia have also shared, start small and then gradually increase the
Gradually,
intensity and the
correct.
duration when we do activity with our children. Okay, cool. So far, we don't have any questions from our guests for watching us
Okay.
live on Facebook. What else would you like to share? What else do you have to share with us, Aya?
I'm like to share yang kalau about the balance and coordination, a child required the balance and coordination bila dia dah boleh perform activity daily living by themselves. Contohnya, bila dia nak pergi ke toilet atau dia nak pakai baju sendiri sekalipun, they really needs a good balance and coordination. Otherwise, dia punya performance maybe have a difficulty and need prompting atau assistance from others, then sampai bila anak tu perlukan bantuan daripada parents. So that's the reason why we try to tackle from the foundation parts, then we go up to the more complex activities lah. That's why balance is the second, kalau ikutkan I think the second or third level of the pyramids of learning. That's why we try to encourage the child to perform as independent as they can, and even though the task yang they perform tu not perfect, but at least they can do the task.
Yeah, I think like I personally see a lot, especially a lot of modern families now. We have
Mm.
helper. And then we have children who has the helper who kind of like constantly help them with picking up their things, wearing
Yeah.
clothes for them, fetching stuff for them. I think all these things. At what age you think that a child should learn how to say pakai baju sendiri?
Uh-uh.
Is there? I don't know whether there is actually such thing covered in developmental milestone. Like when should they actually learn how to wear their own clothes?
Actually, they can learn to perform the simple task, contohnya macam makan ataupun dressing by themselves as younger as 5 years old, 5 to 6 years old is good, because bila dia masuk ke sekolah umur dah 7 tahun ke atas, dia orang punya development dah lebih kepada independent performance punya. So takkan bila budak tu umur 9 tahun pun kita still nak kena bagi assistant, at least Kita boleh bantu tapi minimum assistance, maybe 25% and lower than that is okay lah, tapi don't give a maximal assistance from them.
Yeah, I think this skill is also something that I do want to highlight, especially for a lot of parents with children, especially it's because heartache, right? You know already
Yes,
that child is having difficulty, and then of course we will try to manja the
yes,
child a little bit more, but doesn't mean that we don't give opportunity for them to dress themselves, to help themselves going to the washroom,
yep,
wash their own
correct.
hands, taking care of their own hygiene. We need to teach that
We need
skills to
them,
the child.
correct.
Mm.
That's why we try to help them. And I'm as an occupational therapist, normally we can attend your child for 1 hour, but we hope our parents can do more for their child, because parents spend more time with the child compared to the therapist. So that's why we tend to give a homework or task that the parents can do at home. So it's important for child can participate, or the parents can do the task with their child at home untuk bagi galakkan pada mereka, because practice make perfect, right? So that's why they need to practice more.
Okay, right. So far, we still doesn't have questions. So for those of you who are live here with us, you have any questions, feel free to ask
Okay?
Alia. We have 3 more minutes. Let's talk about, balancing and coordination. We understand is important as part of learning.
Mm-hmm.
Even like you say simple thing like walking itself is
Yep.
has got to do a lot with balancing and coordination. And we also covered about, doing practice, so allowing, I think, giving child opportunity to do the activity,
Yeah,
right?
it's
And
quite complex. Actually, for perform the walking one, it's a
mhm.
complex task. But because of your child have discovered like the foundation daripada dia babies, so daripada situ bila satu area tu dah develop, dia akan membantu develop the another area before your child can perform walking. Because bila kita cakap pasal aktiviti yang kita boleh buat, even though the simple task macam duduk pun adalah, bagi kita itu simple tapi tidak bagi kanak-kanak, because maybe some of the area ada underdeveloped ataupun kurang dia punya sensory ke something else yang akan trigger dia punya foundation lah.
Now that you mentioned, right, I remember reading somewhere, if your child doesn't crawl but can still learn to walk, should we be concerned for a child who cannot crawl, but they are able to walk? That means they skip that crawling stage. Is it something that we should be worried about?
Yeah, actually it's something need to be worried, because kanak-kanak ni dia perlu datang daripada stage dia. Dia ada stage dia. Before they can perform walking, they need to do crawling. Before they can do crawling, they need to do sitting. Semua tu. So daripada satu stage kepada satu stage ni memerlukan satu development area yang berbeza. So kalau macam budak tu dia before this dia cuma boleh rolling dan sitting tapi tak boleh crawl, but suddenly tiba-tiba dia boleh berjalan. So that's trigger a point, like a trigger point, macam apa yang menyebabkan dia boleh jalan tiba-tiba. Then maybe because of the sensory input, or maybe because of something yang kita terlepas pandang. So normally as an OT we try to check. Sometimes it may because of the reflex. Because bila baby punya reflex habis, dia baru develop performance yang lain lah.
So
Kalau
does it mean that if let's say I have a child who skip the crawling stage and develop into walking, but let's say later on maybe have some issues, do we like go back and get them to practice crawling?
basically we not to go back yang uh, jalan lah. Contoh dia dah boleh jalan tapi dia tak boleh crawl. So kita just go back to the crawling part. So we just to engage the child to be able to strengthen the muscle, and also to help the coordination movement. Sebab kalau dia terus jump to the walking part, mungkin bila dia dah besar dia akan ada isu dengan balance ke, dia ada isu dengan coordination ke, muscle strength ke, muscle endurance, semua tu dia akan ada isu. So that's why kita try to tackle yang before that punya task tu.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us
Right.
today. I think for me, I personally learned quite a lot just about balancing and coordination.
Yeah.
Now I know walking is a complex task, things that we take for granted, right? It's actually
Yeah.
very complex.
Normally yang apa kita boleh buat semua adalah kita take for granted because we don't know that apa ni, kita tak gali lagi dalam untuk tengok apa penyebab dia lah macam tu.
Right, right. Okay. Thank you, Alia. Thank you for sharing on balancing and
Alright.
coordination. I think next one we're going to talk about sensory stimulation
Stimulation
technique.
technique. Yep.
Yeah, sensory
Yeah, we just
stimulation
share
technique.
how to perform and what the functional we need to do that one and who the child required the apa ni the stimulation.
Right, right. Okay, so join us next month on the 22nd. If you're interested, join afternoon with Alia, and I'll see you guys next month. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.